So thank you everyone for being here on our Team Fit and Free Zoom. Tonight we have Diamond Coach Sarah Freed sharing her journey in Beachbody coaching with us. And I was thinking about this earlier and I was like, I'm kind of torn, like Zooms about logistics and information and implement this, or like inspirational and stories. And it's kind of like, I think you're going to get both in our Team Fit and Free Zooms. But I do love just hearing the stories of other coaches because it reinforces that we all come from all different walks of life. And you might have someone like Sarah that you come across and you could be able to convey her story. And you're also just going to be able to relate to certain situations that she's been in and be like, oh, maybe next time I'll have a mindset like that. Or how did she handle it? So there's so much that we can learn from each other. And it's just super, super inspiring. So Sarah is going to talk about building a business before you need one and why this means so much to her, that statement now at this point in her life. So let me give a little quick intro. Sarah lives in Arizona, and that's a suburb of Phoenix, which is Gilbert, Arizona. She is married to her husband, Aaron. She has two boys, Braden and Cameron. And happy birthday, Cameron, right? Today?
Yeah, he's 4 today, yeah.
Oh, that's so 7 and 4. And met your husband in college, had kids pretty young. And I'll let you, and she's a physical therapist, but I'm going to let you take the rest from there, Sarah. How did you first come to know Beachbody and get involved?
Well, it's funny. I learned about Beachbody, not the opportunity, but the workouts years ago, actually, when I had Braden, who, like you said, is 7 now. I used to go to the gym, and I found that going to work and then picking him up and then putting him back in a daycare in a gym just didn't really make sense for our life. It took too much time, and it was just, he didn't like it. I'm just picking him up. He wants to spend the evening with me, right? So I still wanted to work out. I still wanted to be active. And I actually had a friend burn Insanity for me, which I cringe now when I think about that. But I did Insanity after I had him, and I got back in shape, and I did the same thing when I had Cameron. And so you don't have that little intro at the beginning of the DVDs that tells you about the coaching opportunity like you do now. So I didn't know about it at all. And it's funny because if you go through your Facebook memories, I often have stuff that comes up with me talking about Insanity 5 years ago. And nobody ever approached me before Kristen, who is my coach. Nobody ever approached me before her about it. So basically, my husband decided that he wanted to do T25. He heard about it first, and he's like, it's only 25 minutes. And he doesn't like to work out as much as I do. So he decided to buy it off of eBay. And, again, we didn't know what the coaching opportunity was, and so we started doing T25, and it just so happened that my son Braden was playing baseball, T-ball, with Kristen's son Grayson, and we got to talking and started to become friends, and Aaron and I were doing T25 together, and it was great. He was losing weight, but his cholesterol has always been high, and it doesn't matter what his diet looks like or what his exercise looks like. His cholesterol was just high. It seemed to be more like a genetic thing because his dad says. So she told him about, I don't even think she told me, but she told him about Shakeology, stopped by our house, dropped off a couple samples. He tried it. He liked the taste, and he said, I'm going to buy a bag. And I remember he did a one-time bag with Kristen. It's the whole thing. It's yeah. So she must have been going a little bit nuts, but he liked it. And we found after I think it was a month or two that his cholesterol went down 25%. And so we were like, oh my God, because he'd already been working out and he'd already been eating healthy, and Shakeology just had a huge effect on him. So that started to happen. And then Kristen said to me, there is a coaching opportunity. You can make an income with this. And I remember saying to her, well, can you really make an income with this? And she's like, yeah, totally. So she ended up sending me a webinar, and I listened to it. And right away I was like, this totally sounds like something I should do. But I remember I emailed her and I was like, I don't have a transformation, other than having kids and getting back into shape. I haven't really lost any significant amount of weight. I'm like, is this something I can do? Because it seems like these coaches have all lost 50 pounds and have like these big before and afters. And she's like, no, you can do this regardless. So I signed up as a coach with P90X3, like right then and there.
Okay, let me just jump in for a second. Yeah, that was a good place to pause. So that's awesome. Like, no one ever approached her, and she's posting about insanity on her page. Like, I would probably just assume, oh, they already have a coach. They're in a challenge group. You know, so many people buy this stuff off of eBay, like all the time. I just had someone during my 5-day. I'm like, oh, remind me who you get your Shakeology from. eBay. Which I scolded her for. But like, you never know. And someone who might be doing something that you just want to be like, about could turn into a diamond coach on your team. So just a good reminder that you never know. And I love, Sarah, you don't have a transformation. You don't have to have one, but I mean, that's what we see so many times are before and afters. But like, you can talk about, you know, we started Shakeology and my husband's cholesterol dropped and nothing else had helped. Like, that's pretty powerful to be able to say to someone. Like, we all have a story one way or another of what it can do for us. So Sarah, when you started coaching, talk about what your life was kind of like at that time.
Yeah, so Erin was the head athletic trainer at a college, which is not a personal trainer. It's, I always tell people if they watch a football game, it's the guys that run on the field with fanny packs. So he's at every, you're at every sporting event, you're at every practice, every game. And he would go to work like around 11, 12 o'clock. And a lot of times he wouldn't walk in the door until 11 o'clock at night. If there was a Saturday night football game, you know, he would be at Braden's baseball practice during the day. And then what a lot of parents didn't see is that I would run off to work just to pick up an extra Saturday to help pay off our student loans. And he would run off to work himself, and like my mom would watch the kids. And a lot of people didn't know that because we didn't really like share that a ton. But, you know, instead of spending like that weekend with our kids, we were just trying to, you know, Aaron had to do what was his commitment with his job. And I was doing what I could just to pay off our student loans. And, you know, when he would work a Saturday football game, he would come walking in the door at like 3 a.m. when we're all in bed. So it just meant that I had a lot of Saturday nights just like sitting at home with the kids by myself, which can be really lonely because you obviously can't leave your kids. But, you know, I can only, you know, keep myself, you know, entertained for so long. I didn't really have like anything else to work on like I do now with this business. But my husband is working on his PhD. And between the two of us, we have like 16 years of college. Because I went for 6 and then he's going for 10. And it's great because your income does grow, but you have a ton of student loans. And it's just like you look at those numbers and it's like, oh my God, we're going to have to pay these off for like, it's going to take us like 20, 30 years. You know, we still want to be able to like enjoy life, but it's kind of crippling to look at that and then just hope that like you have it paid off before your oldest child goes to college, you know? I mean, that's scary too. Like who knows what college is going to cost when Braden goes. And if I had his plus ours, it's just the whole thing just gives me so much anxiety. So when Kristen approached me, like that was definitely something that I was kind of looking for is how can I make more money, but I don't want to leave my kids. Like I'm already leaving them enough. And it, you know, it's just not what I want to do. Like I want to spend time with my kids. And we had some credit card debt. Like I said, we hadn't really paid off like a single student loan. We had 2 car payments. Cause it just so happened that my husband and I like drove our cars like through college and they were like hunk of junks when we finally like turned them in and we had to get new cars. Like they didn't work anymore. And so we had 2 car payments and it was just like it was just overwhelming.
Yeah. So you could easily like look at Sarah's life. And like so many times we make assumptions and we assume she is way too busy for this. Or she's like, sometimes I assume, oh, they're so fit. Like they probably already like are in love with some other juice drink, you know, and like, you don't want to like bring it up. But at the same time, like think like people who are that busy and work that hard might not be scared by more hard work. They might decide that they want to work for themselves and not other people. So, you know, you can approach it that way. And Like, just be confident with it. Like, I think when Kristen approached you, she was pretty confident in her own ability as a coach. So it made you like take it a little bit more seriously. So just because someone's busy doesn't mean they don't have time for this. Busy people are the ones who go after it. And Sarah was looking for a way. So when you started coaching, like, you pretty much saw that this was a good opportunity. You're a little bit nervous because you didn't have a transformation. But why did you believe that this whole idea of opening your own fitness business could work for you?
Well, I was telling Sarah earlier, my uncle's an entrepreneur, and his reason for starting his own business was he didn't like to work for anyone else. He didn't want somebody telling him when to show up and when to go home and, write this report and do this. And he wanted to be able to make his own rules. So when I was a kid, I watched him start his own company, and my uncle and everybody in the family comments that we're exactly alike. And so we just have a really good connection. And I remember watching him retire my aunt in her 30s so she could stay home with the kids. And that always kind of stuck in my mind, but they're accountants. And so I'm like terrible at math. So it's not really like an avenue that I could go down by any means. So it just honestly didn't occur to me that like I couldn't do this. I knew that it could be hard, but it just didn't really occur to me that it's not something I could do. I didn't know like the magnitude of like what's possible with Beachbody. I mean, I honestly didn't know until I went to Alpena this past fall, and they actually like showed us the compensation plan. And I was just like, Sarah will tell you, I was at the table like crying my eyes out, and she's looking at me like, are you okay? What's wrong? And I'm like, I'm not going to have to pay off like my student loans forever. Like, it was funny because I think people thought I was like crying because I didn't think that I could do this. And I was crying because I could see what's possible.
That's like bumpy right there. I did. I seriously thought something had happened at the table, and I was like worried. But yeah. She was just like, oh my, like she just believes. And there's like this part in the book, You Are a Badass, which I know many of us have read, where Jen Sincero is talking about like, you got to make the decision. Like if you want to lose weight, you literally have to decide, okay, I'm going to lose weight, and then you'll do it. Because if you don't really decide, the alarm goes off and you talk yourself back into bed. Like Sarah has obviously decided that she's going to be making $12,000 a week in this business. I know people who do. Trina, who lives in this tiny little town that I do, makes more than $12,000 a week in this business. That's possible for all of us. There is not a limit of wealth at all. There's not enough people who are willing to work for it. So that's pretty cool that, you just felt that. Like, I don't think you probably had that thought, like, I've decided to do it. You just believe it and feel it.
Yeah.
You were crying.
Well, and when I signed up as a coach too, like I kind of, like I remember I heard like Lindsay Matway speak, and she doesn't have a transformation. And I just kind of looked at her, and I mean, her income is so big, it's hard for anybody to imagine, I think. But I just remember looking at it and just being like, oh, okay, like she doesn't have a transformation, and she's like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years in this business. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's possible that you can grow your income to like a 6-figure business in like 2 to 3 years, but you just have to be consistent with it. Like, I was willing to learn. And I remember like, even when I was doing Rock the Basics, I was watching like every YouTube video I could get my hands on. I have so many, like I just found my notes the other day because, we're moving and I was setting up my office. I found all my notes from Rock the Basics. Like, I wrote by hand, like everything out. I would go to like other coaches' Facebook pages for ideas, something I still do, and figure out like how I can make it my own. And then like, I remember Kristen, the first month I joined, she started her first like free 5-minute workout group. And so I just like started one. I was like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. So I'll just do that. Like basically, if I want to be successful, I'm just going to look at who's already there, like who's already successful. And I'm just going to be like, I need to do what you're doing, but I need to be me.
Perfect. And I love that you didn't ask permission. You weren't waiting for the next instruction from Kristen. Like, as sponsors, people we bring on, we are responsible for definitely giving them some guidance, but, there's a balance there. And, we're not going to be giving them everything. Like, the people who are successful in this are going to take action on their own. and learn stuff. Like, shout out to Megan. You just joined, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm teaming up with Jordan to do a 21 day. I'm like, sweet. Okay, I didn't even give you that idea, but you just do it. So that's a great lesson right there. Okay, let's back up a little bit, Sarah, and talk about the whole topic of this call, building a business before you need one. Let's talk about your life as a physical therapist. So you're going to college, you're getting your physical therapist degree, you know, you're kind of probably picturing what life was going to look like. Like, what was that then?
Well, I've always known Aaron can retire with his full benefits at 52, which is like pretty young considering, you know, they say like retirement age is 65. He started working for the company he's working for at 22. You have to put in your 30 years. So, it's been nice knowing that he's not going to have to work into his 60s. But there's a lot of growth in his job. Like he does get raises, continuously. And, he is now working as a full-time college professor, like 30 hours a week instead of 60. He worked really hard to make that happen. He doesn't have late nights. He is just got home from baseball with our kids. He's not working Saturdays anymore. So things have been really good on his end. But my income with physical therapy is completely stagnant. I haven't received a raise in 4 years. And my coworkers would tell you I'm the hardest working therapist there, and I have not had a raise in 4 years, and it stinks. And I will tell you the laziest therapist I work with makes $6 an hour more than I do, and it's just because he's been a physical therapist for 20 some years. But think about it. He's been a therapist for 20 some years, and he's only making $6 more an hour than I am. So it's like, that's where my future was going. You know, I said I haven't had a raise in 4 years. Before that, I had $1 an hour raise. I work what's called PRN, which if you're in the medical field, you know, that means you only get paid for the hours that you're like physically at work. And a lot of jobs, it's just like an on-call rate, but I did have set hours. But I don't receive vacation pay. I don't receive sick pay. I don't receive benefits. My medical benefits are through Aaron. So if I take a week vacation, like my family just loses income, because I'm not there. And, you know, I've always expected that when Aaron retires, I would try to retire at the same time, like around 50, because I'm a couple years younger. And like I said, I always thought we would be paying student loans for like the next 20 years and just hope they'd be paid off before Braden went to college and Cameron. And at the time I was working 4 days a week. And like I said, I would pick up as many Saturdays as I could, just depending on Braden's baseball schedule. So yeah, that was my reality before.
The thing that's just screaming at me during this is like, don't be scared to go talk to the hard workers. Like, Sarah was like willing to spend Saturdays there just to get ahead. Like, and it clicked for her to be able to see the potential in this, to be able to be home, work when her kids are like, you know, watching a movie or have gone to bed. Sarah, okay, so describe what's going on now. Like, so this is your job, you know, you've got a steady income, but you're working a lot. You're out of the house a lot. You're even working on Saturdays. What's the situation at your job now?
Well, I worked at I currently work, it's been a very busy facility because it's military and, you know, we have so many military veterans that it's been very busy. So busy that I would really have to bust my butt to just get through seeing my patients before I pick my kids up from school. But the director of our facility, she was very like patient oriented and, she was great. And then all of a sudden she took another job out of state and it was very sudden. Absolutely. The people who worked closest to her had absolutely no idea that she would do this. And it was barely, I don't even think she gave like a 2-week notice. It was just like, okay, I'm leaving, see you. And so, you know, she left and new management came in. It was basically like her boss's boss came in and he drastically cut therapy. And this is somebody that doesn't have a therapy background and was just looking at numbers on a sheet of paper and was, you know, oh, they don't need that much therapy. That's fine. We'll just cut that. We had to lay off 6 other therapists overnight. Just, you don't have a job. See you later. So I didn't know if I was going to be working at all there anymore. Like, I didn't know, would I be going in 1 day a week? Would I be going 2, 3? Like, I had no idea. Um, but the further I've gotten into Beachbody, the more and the more I've worked with military vets, is I do love those guys. I have pretty deep relationship with them. I see them more than like their family sees them. I'm closer to them than I am my own grandparents, just because I see them so much. So I've kind of, I basically thought in the last 6 months, well, this is it. Like, this will be my last job ever. And then it's Beachbody. That's, I don't want another job. I don't want to just go work with the general population. I feel like I can be picky now, which is nice. And I'm not like forced to take another job. Because it is nice, like when I am working outside the house, I can leave at 2:30 every day to go get my kids, and not every therapy job is like that. I know the last place I worked at before this, I had to be at work until 7, which is horrible. I mean, your kids go to bed at 7:30, so you barely see them. So basically, yeah, I just had like our rehab manager came to me and said, we just don't have enough patients to put you on the schedule. This might be it. I mean, I had no idea. So I cried for like 20 minutes in the car on the way home. But the crazy thing is, I wasn't crying about the money. I was crying because I didn't know whether to tell my patients I wasn't coming back, or like, I just didn't know. So I just ended up leaving work and thinking, well, if I'm not here for the next couple of weeks, I'll make a special trip in and say goodbye. So that's why I was crying.
So imagine like the 6 people who were laid off overnight. Like, imagine if I were one of them, I'd be terrified. I've got kids. I've got a mortgage.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And I just bought a house. I mean, we just moved in November. There is a girl that I worked with that got laid off, and I've approached her about Beachbody coaching because she would be great at it. And she has repeatedly told me no. And she was freaking out because she's single and she doesn't have any other income except for herself. And she still won't become a coach. So,
like, you're not freaking out. You have a great choice. And you don't have to worry about, not having that income coming in for your family, because you have something that's going to grow more than it would ever grow as a therapist.
Right. So I came home and I just didn't know what my husband was going to say about it. Because, like, we're all used to traditional jobs, right? And so I didn't know what he would say, but he was really supportive. And I tend to talk very fast and he can't get a word in sometimes. And he's like, Sarah, just stop for a second. He goes, he's really supportive. He said, you're making a pretty good income with Beachbody. Why don't you just keep doing that and continue to make it grow? Like, if you spend more time on it, it's going to grow even faster than it has been. Why don't you just do that? And I mean, he knows I didn't want to go get another therapy job. So, I mean, that's just been amazing. And so right now I'm working like 2 to 3 days outside the house max, instead of the 5 that I was.
Awesome. I mean, the lesson here is that you can have a great job, but it's not a for sure thing. Like, you didn't expect that at all. So that happened. And that's like something that, we can talk to other people about as well. Like, I definitely feel secure. If Bay Athletic Club disappeared, it'd be sad, but not because I'm not going to be able to pay the bills.
Right.
That is such a comforting feeling. I remember when I was younger writing like the things that I wanted in life, I put security as like a 10-year-old, because it's in that financial freedom that this business brings gives you security. It gives you peace of mind. Okay. So obviously you mentioned your business has become stronger and stronger, and you've been a coach for about 20 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your coaching career is as old as my son. Just realized that. So what have you done in this past year to become a better leader, get more organized? Like, what are some of your top tips?
Well, here's the thing about my personality. Like, I just signed up to be a coach and I was like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's me, but that's not everybody. And so when I was first signing up coaches, that's what I would do with them. I would just like shove all this information on them, and then I'd be like, okay, do it. And then I would get frustrated when they wouldn't do it. And it's been a learning process that everybody is different and that you have to go at their pace and you have to like nudge everybody a little bit, you know? So, now I'm doing like one-on-one calls weekly with my personally sponsored coaches, which is something I wasn't doing before. And I started creating like YouTube videos so that like when my coaches would ask me questions, I could just say like, here's the link that this explains this. It saves time for me and I'm not having to repeat myself all the time. I've started posting more about the Beachbody opportunity. I mean, as a new coach, everybody is so scared to do that, myself included, like everybody. And it's very normal to feel that way, but people don't always know what you're doing. Even if you think that they do and you're like, well, I post my workout videos all the time, it doesn't necessarily mean that people understand that they can learn how to grow a business from you. So I'm doing that a lot more consistently. I try to like breadcrumb a lot, but what I'm definitely doing is making sure I put a like bold invitation to coaching out at least once a week. I mean, you can't be afraid to talk about it, because when I sit here and talk about like what it's done for me, I'm like, why the heck wouldn't I ask people? Like, this is such a gift of freedom. I know how many people are struggling with like student loans and stuff like that. It gives people, you know, time freedom. Obviously, I'm working less outside of the house. Gives you financial freedom. You know, we've paid off a lot of things, and it also improves like health and wellness. Like, as much as I've always liked to work out, I'm way more consistent since I became a coach. I do use a day planner, which is actually something I used before I became a coach, but I pretty much would just write like what activities we had going on, and I would write down like when our bills are due. But now I include in there like when each of my challenge groups start, the last day to order for that group is. I put all team calls in there, all my calls with my coaches, my to-do lists for the next day. I also put when I need to let customers know their Shakeology is going to ship out. Every little thing goes in there. And it just keeps me on track, because otherwise you're going to realize you have a challenge group coming up and you're not giving yourself enough time to promote it. And then you're like in this rush to get it done. And it just doesn't work out too well when you do that. I really like the podcast app. And because I am a busy working mama too, I just don't have a lot of time to read a book. Like, I do have a few books and they usually kind of just sit there, or I read them insanely slow. So I like audio, and I usually listen in the car, like on my way to and from work, or if I'm just riding around with the kids. I will listen at home if it's something I really want to take notes on, but a lot of times I'll just re-listen. But I really like, you can use the podcast app for the National Wake Up Call. I really like Chalene Johnson. There's a Shakeology podcast. You know, there's tons of stuff. So I love audio.
Yeah, Sarah, that's all great stuff. And I love the first thing you said about realizing that not everyone's going to be like you. And I would say, like, yeah, the majority of people aren't when they sign up. You know, they're much slower. Throwing that much information at them can really get them to go the other way. So for you to be able to like mold yourself, like that's what makes good leaders. That's what makes good, like better, like stronger diamond businesses and beyond, is that leader has figured out how to work with multiple different personalities. And, you know, if Amanda Leanne just texts me something really quick, it's not her being upset when Kristen might text me with a bunch of smiley faces usually. Like, it's just, you know, different personalities. Because sometimes I'd be like, she mad? Did I do something? No, okay. No, it's just like a whole bunch of colors and personalities. So Sarah's hardcore red, which is amazing. And that's why in 101, I love that people take the color code now. Because, like, you just got to know. Like, that's like your first sign to be like, okay, blue, let's slow down. Let's connect. If someone's a red, throw that information at them.
Right.
Really quick, live events, just a little plug for them. What have you gone to? Why did you love it?
Okay, so this might sound a little harsh, but if you're not going to live events, you're not serious about coaching. I mean, I feel like if you're a hobby coach, maybe you're going to skip them. But if you are serious, like you want this to grow income, you have to go to live events. You watch other coaches go on stage and talk, and, you know, you get to see what's really possible, and that's just going to make you work harder for it. I mean, you're going to watch these coaches up there talk about how like they don't have debt and they have their houses paid off and they take vacations. And you really need to take that information and not, compare yourself to them, but let it drive you. I feel like you need to be at live events, even if you can't afford it. Like, it's just an investment in your business. And I mean, I've had coaches that have gone to like Summit that can't really afford it, and it has changed their businesses for sure. So you definitely need to make an effort to be there.
Yeah, the feed was blowing up with a bunch of you who have gone. So your next live event is April 2nd. There's a Super Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That weekend. So I would definitely figure out where yours is in the area and put it in your calendar right now to be there. My first live event was some random training like in May that Jeff Hill ended up being at. And I didn't even know who Jeff Hill was. And it was good. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, it kind of lit the spark. So, okay, talking about lighting the spark, what would you say to maybe some of the newer coaches, or maybe even some of the people who are just kind of starting to dive in and be taking this more seriously? Like, what would you say to kind of light their spark?
I would say this is the most important part of what I'm going to talk about, but you need to make sacrifices now so you don't have to sacrifice later. It can be hard to, tell your spouse, okay, well, I need, like, when the kids go to bed, I need to work on this tonight. I'm not going to like hang out and watch TV with you tonight, or to spend, it's a lot of time like spent on your computer figuring this out. But sacrifice now, because if I didn't, I would be, in my 40s with all this debt and nothing would change. You need to trust that this is going to pay off, even when your check doesn't reflect this. So I know, like, I see this all the time, like coaches work really hard. They have all these conversations, and then like they miss their goal, or their paycheck's not what they thought it was. And it's just a total letdown. And, you need to do the work regardless of the income. You need to enjoy the ride. You're going to have setbacks, like you're going to lose rank. It's going to happen. Pretty much happens to everyone. Like, you'll have a dip in your paycheck. You'll miss hitting Success Club. I've missed it twice. You'll have coaches quit. Like, you need to just keep going. You need to learn from it, and you need to let it drive you to get better. Like, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to share a selfie. You have to share a before and after pic. It's worse in your head than it is when it's out there, because you know what? You're going to share a before and after pic, and all these people are going to be like, you look amazing. But the whole time you're in your head like, oh my God, I can't share this. You need to post a workout video. Like, who cares if you're like drenched in sweat and you have like hair you haven't washed for 3 days? Like, it doesn't matter. People are judging you on social media no matter what. Like, you think they're not, judging you when maybe you gave your kid a cookie or something. They might be judging you. Like, it doesn't matter. That's what people do. Like, that's just kind of human. So you need to live your life, and you need to do what's best for you. The people that matter will support you. Like, the first thing I ever posted when I signed up with a coach was ridiculed. I had somebody post a really nasty message to me, and they're not in my life anymore. But I could have looked at that and been like, oh my God, like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And I didn't let it stop me. Like, you have to show up. Like, you have to complete the trainings. Like, if you sign up for Rock the Basics 1.0, finish Rock the Basics 1.0. Attend as many team calls as you can. Like, you're not going to be able to make all of them, but they're recorded, and make sure you listen if you can't be on live. You need to complete your tracker consistently, like your Power Hour tracker, or your Team Rockstar Fit tracker, or whatever you want to call it. Like, that's the secret sauce to success.
That was so much great stuff right there. Like, that was not just like the spark, that was like action items. And I love how you talk about, like, people will judge you no matter what. Like, you can never live a life and not have judgment. But why not put yourself out there with more positivity? And the only people who are really going to judge you are the people you're making uncomfortable, because they are super negative. No matter what, like, you're going to get rid of them, or you're going to start to convert them to a happier person. Like, it's a win-win, really, honestly. Like, I love that. That just makes the pressure go away. Sarah talked about her Power Hour. We should post this in the team page. She just found this document she likes much more than the tracker, which I just so happen to design. But that's okay. This is pretty cool. There's a lot of space on here to be able to write, like, people's names. And here's the thing, like you talk about showing up every single day. Like, heck yeah, that's what matters. And that's what's going to guarantee that your paycheck is going to grow. If you do that, your paycheck will grow. But it's not just doing a Facebook post and doing your workout. Like, that stuff's huge. It's like adding new people. Like, if you're not continuously like finding some new people to talk to each week, then you're going to feel very stagnant and it might not grow. So I just want to really mention that important part, because sometimes people are thinking like, I'm doing the stuff, but that is a key part of it.
It's really about like finding friends of friends on Facebook, friend requesting them, and then just starting conversations. That's what this whole thing is about.
Right. And I always say, even if like the conversation dies out, they're on your page now. You've put, like, no one else is probably having a conversation with them on Facebook. You know, like, you're going to stick out to them. They see you in the news feed, and then it kind of comes full circle.
Right.
So it's like planting seeds that are going to grow a year from now. Okay. Let me move in here to the next one here. So what specific advice do you have, Sarah, for making like a huge goal? Because you obviously, it's clear that you have huge goals. We haven't even really said what your huge goal is ultimately in this business. I don't even really know. I mean, feel free to share that, but what is your tip for that, for setting really big goals?
The first thing I would do is create a dream board. And if you don't know how to do that, there's tons. If you search the photos in Team Fit and Free, everybody's are in there. But it needs to be specific. So like, I've seen people create dream boards and they'll say stuff like, I want to be healthier. And it's just like way too vague. Like, you don't really, like, how do you track that? So it needs to be specific. It needs to say, I want to pay off my car loan. I want to be 2-star diamond. You need to have like a goal date. Like, for instance, like my goal is I want to be 1-star qualifying by March and 2-star qualifying by June. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to work my butt off. And that date is going to push me to get there sooner. You need to mentor each of your coaches with weekly calls and focus on the people that really want this. So if you have somebody that like you're talking to weekly, and it's like, okay, you talk to them on the phone, and you're like, okay, I want you to do this, this, and this, and they never take action on anything. Like, you're spending so much time on this person when you could be talking to someone else. And it's not that you don't care about all of your teammates, but you need to give your time is precious, and you need to give it to people who really want this. So you need to set goals. You need to take action. Like I said, do your tracker consistently. Focus on changing at least 3 lives each month and inviting weekly, if not daily, to the opportunity. You need to not be afraid of no. Instead, see it as a challenge to get yes. I tell my team that people tell me no all the time, and I'm just like, okay, I'll get you later. Most people need to be exposed to this opportunity and see your consistency before they take the plunge. People expect when you sign up to be a coach, you're going to quit in like 3 months. It's just expected, because we all know people who do like a home-based business and they do it for like a few months and then they quit it. And so people are watching and they want to see like, is this the real deal? Is she in this? You know, is this something that's going to last? Like I said, you need to attend live events. It's an investment in your future. You need to give recognition to your downline for everything. And that's something I didn't do early on. When they add one coach, like, don't wait until they're emerald. They add one coach. You need to recognize them. If they get their first Success Club points, they get 1 point, they get 2 points. You need to recognize them. Don't wait until they get to 5. Rank advancements, going out of their comfort zone as a post. Like, if you know they're putting up a post that they're uncomfortable with, get like your other friends on the team to go comment on their post, and it's just going to help cheer them on. Not everybody lives for recognition, but a lot of people do.
Yeah. And it just means so much. And it doesn't even have to be, like if you notice that someone hit Success Club for the first time, like send them a text. Like, don't let them be the one to tell you. Like, just trying to be kind of aware of that stuff. And, even like a card or something like that. Yeah, like you said, no's 99% of the time are going to turn into yeses if you are consistent. People are waiting for you to stop. And I really feel like people can sense consistency. They might not even be thinking about it, but you're always in their newsfeed, then they're not for a month. Like, subconsciously, they just don't take you as seriously anymore. So no matter what, you're in this for your own health and fitness, to rock that and to feel really good. Like your actions, what you eat, your workout, like that's part of your business. So that's kind of cool because we all want to be healthy. That's some ultimate accountability. But it's also like sharing that and letting people know that you help other people do that. Sometimes I think we miss that too. Sarah, I know that you felt frustration and failure at times. You commented on not hitting Success Club, dropping rank. Like, how do you bounce back from stuff like that?
Yeah, like I've had coaches, reach rank and drop. I've had coaches quit, and everybody has. Every successful coach has. Sarah's had that happen. Trina's had that happen. It happens to everyone. So this actually just happened like last week, I think. But I just had a lead return 6 bags of Shakeology. 6. And so it's deducted every single bag from my paycheck. So I go in on Thursday, and I had worked my butt off like that previous like couple of weeks. I mean, I hit Success Club 10, my coaches were hitting, and it's like it wasn't reflected in like my work wasn't reflected in my paycheck that week. And so it was really defeating. And so my response was, I think I like cried about it. And then I like called Julianne, who's my success partner, and I like vented to her. And I think I told like Kristen and Sarah about it because like just getting it off my chest helps. Because I know that they've been there. And then like I take a day and I go do something else. So I think I just like that night, I just like watched TV and like vegged out and didn't do much. I just needed to like unwind so I could get back in the right like headspace. But then the next day I just go, okay, now I'm going to push harder. Like I know that that's not going to last and it's all part of failing forward. And I've just tried to focus on what I can do about it, how I can be a better leader. I just focus on what's going good in my business. And I just remember like quitting doesn't solve everything. Like, I don't know how many times like something bad's happened and I just say, I'm not a quitter. Like, you're not going to see me quit. I will not give anyone the satisfaction of seeing that. So you have to remember that. And it was funny because then a couple days later, Julianne and I were Zooming and I was laughing my butt off about it. I was like, it's actually really funny.
About those bags?
Yes, I was like, because it's just so ridiculous that we were just cracking up about it.
No, yeah, it is. And it so happened to me. It was December, I think maybe last year, and I was negative 565 volume points for my personal volume, right? It's a dude, a customer lead, orders 2 bags of Shakeology every single month. I always email him, no response. All of a sudden, Christmas came and the guy must have been hurting. All of it. I don't even know how they took it all back. But yeah, this is at a point when I'm used to making at least $1,000 a week and it's Christmas and boom. But it'll always come back to you. Yeah, I had a customer lead order, I think 10 bags of Shakeology the other day. Like, that's just a customer lead who was given to me. Like, this stuff will happen if you don't let that stuff, like, be like, I'm done. Or, like, be one of those coaches who are rocking it and then you have a bad customer service experience and you're like, I hate this. I quit. My husband's pissed. I quit. Gosh. Yep. We've all had a bad customer service experience. Unfortunately, some of us have had more than one. But it's worth sticking out because there's so many pluses to this business. Sarah, before I get to the last question, of comparing yourself then and now, I think it would really help if someone could, and this, I didn't ask you this beforehand, so sorry. Okay. But if you could kind of just talk about what are like the 3 things, besides your workout and your Shakeology and your personal development, besides that, what are the 3 things that you do consistently every single day?
I would say friend request people. And what I started with is I would friend request all my husband's friends, or like, and a lot of times, like when I tag him and stuff, his friends will like it and I'll see who I'm not friends with and I'll just go ahead and add them. And that's so easy to do because of course they're going to see that and look at the last name and go, oh, that's Aaron's wife. And so that's how I met my coach, Mariah. She was a student of Aaron's. So I started there. And then running like a 5-minute workout group that really increased how many friends I've had on Facebook. I started with like 150 when I started on Facebook. I was
hold up. That's a big deal. How many times do people say, well, I'm barely on Facebook. I don't have any friends. You have like 5,000 friends.
Well, and I was kind of a snob. Like, if I hadn't talked to you in a while, I'd just be like, I'm not accepting that friend request.
Right. I mean, I think we all were the snobs. Like, no, we don't know you. We're not being your friends. Now we're like, please. Okay, so started at 150. That's pretty.
So I had 150 and I have over 700 now. And so I always try to, I mean, go back through like your high school yearbook, go back through people you've lost in college. Just find like friends of friends. So if you're like, hey, this person, we have 2 friends in common, you don't know who the heck they are. Like, still add them, because a lot of times they'll accept your friend request.
And when you friend request them, do you send a message at the same time?
No, well, it kind of depends. Like, if they really have like nothing on their Facebook to go by, I usually don't. But if they have like something there I can comment on, then I usually do.
Just acknowledge like, hey, I sent you a friend request. I see we have so-and-so in common and whatever.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's not really like sending them a personal message right away. It's just going to their Facebook page and like commenting on some pictures and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So adding people, that's one of them.
Yeah. So I definitely do that every day. And then I try to have at least like 5 conversations going at any given time.
So like when you get in your inbox on Facebook, there's at least 5 unread messages.
At least, yeah.
I like that.
I mean, there's more if I know like I'm only at Success Club 2 and it's like towards the end of the month and I'm like, oh no, then I definitely crank that up more. But just as an average, I try to have like at least 5 conversations going at any given time.
That's a great thing. If your inbox is empty, like that's a sign that, you're not really doing it. So whatever your inbox is right now, double it. It's probably a good thing. Except for you, Carrie, at Success Club 20. Your inbox is probably like at 40. So
right. And then I would say the third thing I do pretty much daily is I figure out like other post ideas. Like if I see something another like a top coach has done and I like it, a lot of times I'll like screenshot it and then I'll just figure out how I can make it my own, make it, change up the wording a little bit, make the picture a little bit different, obviously put me in the picture. So I do have a lot of screenshots on my phone just so I'm not like trying to go back later and I'm spending all this time like searching for it. It's just right there on my phone. And then I'm really into graphics. 'Cause I feel like your Facebook needs to look like a magazine. It needs to look like a reality TV show. If you're not using apps when you're posting your pictures, your Facebook is probably not very visually appealing. And a lot of times when there's a lot of wording, like people they won't pay too much attention to that. And especially like if the picture's dark or if it's kind of boring, like people aren't going to stop for that. There's a lot going on in their Facebook. So I'm always trying to make like pretty much every picture I put up has like nice graphics that I've spent a decent amount of time on. And so I do that every day. And then I'm making sure that I at least post to Facebook twice a day, if not 3 times without fail. Like I don't miss a day posting.
That was some really kick booty stuff and a little bit different than what we normally hear when you ask what people are doing. Like her inbox is always around 5. If it's not, she does something about it. She's always adding at least 1 person a day to her network. And that's consistently like tripled her amount of friends. And then I love that you're thinking about your post because it really is a magazine. Like, and you know what? If you guys haven't changed your settings so that people can't post on your page, please go do it. Because that's the worst when you go to someone's page and there's all these shares from other people and it's like, wait, where's the person I'm looking for? Like your page really is supposed to be a reflection of you. And being able to kind of think through a post ahead of time is good because your post not only needs to be visual appealing, it needs to have some kind of meaning. It needs to speak to someone. It's kind of a lot of pressure on those posts. So if you can think about it a little bit more, it makes it more fun and more effective. Cool. Thanks for just rolling with that, Sarah. That was great stuff. Okay, so bring us home. Compare your life to when you first joined as a coach. So what was it like then? What is it like now?
Okay, so we were 6 figures in student loan debt, and now we are 5 figures. I've paid off $70,000 since I became a coach, which like blows my mind, and we still have a decent amount to go, but that's such a huge chunk and such a small amount of time that I'm really hopeful about the future, which is nice. I was working 40 hours a week, including Saturdays outside the house. Now I'm working, let's see, last week I think I put in like 12 hours.
Wow.
And this week I'm scheduled to put in like 18. So it's cut down a lot. My workouts were inconsistent. I would go through phases where I'd work out a lot and then phases where I wouldn't. And now I work out 6 days a week, period.
And you just did hammer and chisel and look amazing. Just a shout out there.
Thank you. And tell Chris I'm doing Body Beast, like up until the cruise. I love it.
He's going to like get up
I know
and start pumping iron.
So we used to vacation like one time a year. I'd be like, okay, you know, we've got to get a vacation in whether we can afford it or not. We would do one vacation a year. And here's the thing, like, I remember we went to New York and it cost like, it was like a over $2,000 trip or something. And it took me like 6 months to pay it off. And now since I've been a coach, like we take vacations and I pay them in cash and that's it. And we're taking more trips. Like I have been able to go on a bunch of business trips, like to Alpena and to Summit and stuff. But we also just went to Hawaii over the summer. We just took the kids to Disneyland. I remember buying our Disneyland tickets with 1 week's paycheck. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. This is for my kids.
It makes trips so much more fun when you're not sitting there like, yeah, I guess I have another glass of wine. Like that's going to suck later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I started as a coach, we were living in like a starter home. It was a 4-bed, 2-bath home, and we were busting out of it because even though 4-bed, 2-bath might sound like a good amount of room, like the rooms were super, super small. So we were definitely busting out of it. And a week before Thanksgiving, we just moved into our new house here, and it's a 6-bed, 4-bath. I have a home gym. It's my dream home. And I absolutely love it. Like I'm staying here until we're downsizing because our kids are out of the house. Like this is it. We had credit card debt before I started as a coach. Now we don't have any. If I put anything on the credit card and paying it off like a week later. We had 2 car payments. Now we don't have, both our cars are paid off. We would have about $2,000 in savings in case something happened, and now our account doesn't dip below 10,000. It's just there, and I don't touch it.
That's just amazing. Like your savings account has gone up as your savings career that you feel like was gonna, you know, take care of you has completely kind of disappeared.
Yeah. And I'm not making 6 figures with Beachbody yet, but here's the thing, like you pay off one thing and then it just snowballs because it's like, okay, well, I don't have that car payment to make. So now I'm going to take that $350 and I'm going to put it on, I'm going to double what I'm able to pay on like Aaron's car. And it just kind of snowballs that, you know, when you start paying stuff off. So it starts off kind of slow and it really just starts to go as you get further into it. Like I said, when Aaron was working so much, like it was hard on me. And I remember crying to my mother-in-law one night because when you have kids really young, like I had Braden when I was 23. And so everybody's still like going out and like drinking and stuff. And so my closest friends are all older than me. That's just how it is because I relate more to moms that have kids that are a little bit older than I do to these people that, my coworkers at work would go out on like happy hour on a Wednesday night. And it's like, I can't do that. I have to go pick up my kids from school and my husband's not around. So I need to be with them. And so it was just like, you just kind of felt lonely often. And I'm also like somebody that's like driven. And if like my closest friends are not like stagnant people, like I need to be around people that have like goals and dreams and stuff. Like that's who I want to be around. So Beachbody, the income is great and everything, but I love that I'm around people that want to work out all the time and have these big goals and these big dreams. And that's been the best thing about this business. I used to have to rely on like my mom and my mother-in-law to take care of the boys quite a lot. And now my mom takes Cameron on Mondays only because she wants to, not because she has to. She just wants to see him every week. And then basically like he's with me so much. It's great. And I'm not having to pick up that phone and be like, hey, can you pick up the kids and can you bring them here and stay with them and feed them dinner? Like it's all on me. And I love that. My coworkers that I work with outside the home, they eat fast food every single day. That's what they go out for. And it's just hard to like relate to those people. And so now it's like I found my tribe of people that are like me. Like, I don't want to eat a quarter pounder every day. I don't want to eat it like ever. So, we're not living paycheck to paycheck like we used to be. It's just great. I love this business. I am forever indebted to Kristen for asking me. I'm like, thank you for asking me to do this.
Yeah. I love how before it was living paycheck to paycheck, and now it's like, we don't settle for that. You weren't complacent with it before, but that's where you were at, and you were looking for a way to not be living paycheck to paycheck. And, your destiny's in your hands in this business. Like, wouldn't you rather have your destiny in your hands than in someone else's? Like, that's something that you can really ask people who are considering coaching. I sure would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sarah, that's awesome. I mean, so many great things there, obviously, from just the fact that your job that you went to college for 6 years is like disappearing, and that would be really stressful. And you're not even phased. You were for like a second, but you don't have to be, because you have this other thing you're passionate about, and it's going to make you more money than you ever were going to make as a physical therapist.
The day after that happened, I went hiking with my coach, Mariah. We hiked Camelback Mountain. And I remember we hiked, she was going to be late for a dentist appointment. So we jogged back to our cars, and it was a beautiful day. It was like 82 degrees, and I had the windows down and the radio on. And I just was like, I feel so at peace right now. I was like, I feel just calm, and just this is how things are supposed to work out. And it was just the greatest feeling, instead of being like, what are we going to do for money?
That I don't know what to, I feel that way a lot. I feel like that way more and more as this grows and there's more amazing people to connect with. I just will be like, I'm so stinking happy. You almost don't know how to live this happy sometimes, but I feel like coaching just makes you happier and happier and happier. And yeah, there's still going to be crap here and there, but you're happy the majority of the time because you have less stress.
And I'm laughing. There's 22 comments. I'm like, oh, I had my screen minimized.
Yeah. I won't hit end for a while so you can look at the comments. Lots of good stuff. Sarah, anything else you want to say before we call it a night?
Just trust that this is going to work out if you put the work into it. Even when you're not where you want to be. I mean, you get a check and it's $35. Keep working your butt off. It's going to get there.
Heck yeah. Look at that. That's your gas. That is some money you didn't have to waste on gas. That's what I would always say. And soon it'll be $3,500. So awesome. Thanks everyone for being on. I will definitely post the recording so you can share it with your team.